I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's motion of this House would impoverish corruptors, we believe that so far, up to closing government, the debate so far has been too stagnant, in which, let me give you a little bit of a mind mapping, what has go on in today's debate. Now, we believe that when it comes to the opening debate in OG versus OO, we believe that in OG's case, they have been sticking too much with what's already been happening in the status quo regarding laws and legalities regarding corruptors and their punishments. And so that is why they actually haven't done enough to impoverish the corruptors themselves. While we believe that when it comes to OO's case, they have focused too much regarding first rebutting the poorly mechanism of OG, but they have failed to provide to you a much more better explanation and a much more better alternative when it comes to handling corruptors, in which they OO has only focused regarding that rehabilitation will work, and that they have failed to see the many flaws and many and that rehabilitations can't actually fully guarantee that in their world there will be much more or less corruption. Now let's take a review of what OO's case. Now, we believe that right from the start, even since from the leader of opposition, have many flaws in their arguments. Now, the leader of opposition talked about how the role of the criminal justice system is regarding reintegration and regarding how inmates still need to be a functioning member of society, and that the CGS must not destroy people's lives. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we disagree with this because we believe that this actually depends on their crimes. We believe that when it comes to sexual offenders and pedophiles, they're very risky to be reintegrated back into society. And even though they have served their time, people, regular folks, will still have a prejudice against pedophiles and sexual offenders, and people have the right to do so because of the severity of those crimes of which those pedophiles and sexual offenders did. That is why, for example, in the US, they have a national list of registered sex offenders with the sole purpose to warn other people, oh, this person have violated a very severe crime. And so we believe that not everyone deserves to be not everyone deserves to be fully reintegrated back into society with no trouble at all, because we believe that the crimes in which they have done actually matters, and people have a right to judge you for your crimes. And second, they talk about how rehabilitation will work, in which they actually didn't provide to you they didn't provide to you regarding the statistics of how their rehabilitation will actually work, especially since that there's not a lot of rehabilitation in this world for corruptors. There's many rehabilitation for drugs and etc. And yet we believe that even when rehabilitating for drug users, there are many cases where those who have gone through rehab relapse in the future. So how do you guarantee that your rehab will actually will be much more efficient? In which we believe, we strongly disagree with the efficiency of rehab, because we believe fear will work better, in which our side of the house, we will impose a much more fear onto the people with the mechanism that we have proposed to you. And also because a very important thing, that fear will actually become a preemptive solutions, because it will help it will strike fear in future corruptors, because they will now know the very big impact that they will face if they do corruption, in which, very different with rehabilitation, rehab can only work when people go through rehab, and even if people go through rehab, there are still chances that they will relapse. So we believe that in their side of the house, the amount of corruptors is still much more than in our side of the house. Now, the leader of opposition also talked about regarding human errors in calculating the amount of corruption that you have done. We believe that this argument does not stand, because human errors exist in every aspect when it comes to crimes. And so we believe that if a corruptor has been sentenced and a report comes out and apparently that their corruption was actually less, then their sentence will be reduced and it will be adaptable. So we believe that this argument does not stand at all. Now, we believe that overall, only opening opposition was too pacifist. Now, because they also talked about how they don't even support death penalty, even for murderers. Now, we believe that the reason why we say that they're too pacifist is because they don't actually think about the victims and the families of the victims, while we, closing government, actually do. We want to give better justice for victims and their families in cases of murders and in cases of corruption. Because when it comes to corruption, the victims and the families of victims are millions and millions of people that were affected by a politician stealing money that were supposed to help their life becomes better. And that these politicians actually lived in luxury at the suffering of those people. That is why it is actually important for us to implement a solution as harsh as this. And we also believe that our solution will actually reduce and prevent victims and their families from being vigilantes and doing justice by themselves, because the government will actually have done something that is quite harsh to those corruptors. And also a very important point that I would like to talk about is regarding how opening opposition talks about poverty and that the state chooses who goes and now the state can choose who goes and get lifts out of poverty. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the narrative that we must lift people out of poverty, we're talking about people that were in poverty because of situations they can't control. For example, they were born into it, and etc. While these politicians, they live in luxury and out and further from the poverty line because they stole money from the people. And so we believe that it is actually the poor who needs government assistance, right? It's the poor who needs government funding and etc. The rich can live comfortably by themselves. They don't need any government help. And so we believe that impoverishing corruptors through our own ways that we have defined is completely justifiable. And that when it comes to children of corruptors, we are not banning them from education. They can still access education and will be encouraged to do so at public school where education is affordable. So we believe that overall our solution in our case is so much better because we provide to you how the corruptors will get punished and how everyone will be satisfied, especially the victims and the families. Thank you.